I was absolutely shocked by these two articles that I read about renting versus buying. Absolutely blown away. Should you rent or should you buy? Let's settle this debate once and for all based on looking at the facts. If you've considered moving to the city of Surrey or surrounding neighborhoods or municipalities, you're definitely going to want to watch this video because I'm going to let you know the impact of rent increases versus property increases over the last 12 months. And I guarantee that these numbers are going to absolutely blow you away. If you're someone that is still renting a property or considering renting a property rather than purchasing, you're definitely going to want to watch this video. So if that sounds good, let's get into it. My name is Darren, a realtor from Surrey BC and team leader of the German group. If you're new to this channel, it is all about everything to do with BC real estate, living in Surrey, White Rock, or South Surrey BC. You're going to want to make sure that you not only subscribe, but also hit the notification bell so you get updated every time we release a video, because we spend hours trying to put together incredible content for you if you're looking at moving or just wanting to stay up to date on the real estate market. We get calls and texts all the time from people just like you looking to relocate to our area. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days, 90 days, or 9 months from now, feel free to make use of the calendar link in the description of this video, and you can spend some time with me on a Zoom call to help make sure that your move to our area is a smooth one. So the idea for this video spawned out of a meeting that I had with some great clients who were curious about the differences between either buying a home or renting a home. Of course, there's nothing wrong with renting a home. There's lots of people that rent a home and they do it for various reasons, whether it's financial reasons, maybe it's convenience reasons, maybe they have some things going on in their life and they're just not sure they want to commit to a property right now. However, there's also lots of people that are just simply holding off from buying a property because maybe they're scared, underinformed, or they're just not sure if they can do it. Oftentimes, this keeps them from seeking further information that keeps them back from owning their own property. After this meeting, I started to dig a little bit deeper on this topic because I hadn't dug deeper on it in a while. And I basically came to the conclusion that people that wait to buy oftentimes end up pricing themselves out of the market, making it almost impossible to own a home in the future. Of course, this isn't the case all the time, but traditionally it's always been better to buy a home sooner than later. You don't want to find yourself getting priced out of the real estate market, which has happened to so many home buyers over the years with the significant increases in home values we've seen since 2015. You may be familiar with the old Chinese proverb about someone who's seeking some shade. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. It's amazing how incredibly this relates to buying real estate. Let's jump into these articles. I'll show you what I mean, and then we're going to run some numbers after. So stay with me here. So the first article was done by CTV News that says Vancouver and Surrey top the list of the most expensive mortgages compared to rent payments. This was kind of interesting to me because I was really kind of curious about what the differences in those numbers might be. So it went on to say that a recent housing report showcases the price discrepancy between mortgage payments and rent in major British Columbia cities. This was a report or a study that was done by Zoocasa. Vancouver tops the list of 26 Canadian cities with an average monthly payment of $5,353 compared to an average rent of $3,180. Now, the area that my real estate team services of Surrey was third on the list, just behind Toronto, with an average mortgage of $4,856, while rent sits at $2,291. Now, I want to put this in perspective a little bit because I think it's important. This article is comparing the average monthly mortgage versus the average monthly rent. The average monthly mortgage could apply to a very wide range of properties, from detached homes to condominiums, townhomes, and everything else in between. Properties are generally relatively mixed, and roughly about 50% of all people living in the Lower Mainland live in strata properties, meaning the other 50%, well, they live in detached homes. So it's a little unfair to compare rents to mortgages in this case because, as you would assume, most rentals are likely strata properties. They're most likely condominiums or even sometimes townhomes, and of course there's detached homes that are rented out as well, but primarily they're rented out as more of an entry-level option for people looking to get into the real estate market and maybe just can't quite yet. Therefore, the rental pool is going to be primarily smaller properties, less expensive properties, typically composed of condominiums or townhomes. Fair enough, right? So even though we've got these major discrepancies between mortgages and rents, we do have an average rent number. So I wanted to get an idea of what the average rent in Surrey was for just a 2-bedroom place. Jumping onto the website Zumper, you can see that the median rent in Surrey for 2 bedrooms was $2,700. Notice this little thing right here where it says it's up 8% over the previous year. That's where things start to get important, and jump over to the next article that I want to show you. Moving over to a CBC article about rent prices soaring in 2023 as Canada saw its lowest vacancy rate on record. Getting further into the article, it says that rent prices in Canada soared last year as supply struggled to keep up with demand, leading to the lowest national vacancy rate on record since the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation began tracking that data in 1988. That's CMHC if you're unfamiliar. The Federal Housing Agency said in a report Wednesday the vacancy rate for purpose-built rental apartments sat at 1.5% during the first 2 weeks of October 2023 when it conducted its annual survey. It goes on to say that the average rent for a 2-bedroom purpose-built apartment, which the CMHC uses as its representative sample, grew 8% in 2023. That 8% also matches what the website Zumper just told us. That growth figure was up from the 5.6% average rent increase recorded in 2022 and above the 1990 to 2022 average of 2.8%. The data did not surprise us at all, said CMHC. So why is this important if you're a renter, and why should you even care? Well, the last thing that you need to know is what the average property did in 2023, a difficult and very challenging mortgage market and real estate market. What do I mean by that? Mortgage rates are as high as they have been in the last 15 years, making it incredibly difficult for people to qualify to borrow money to buy homes. So you would assume that house prices would likely drop, but that's not the case at all. Jumping over to the home price index and getting some data from the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, you can see that in all areas combined in the Fraser Valley, just simply looking at apartments, the benchmark price of apartments grew 6.5% year over year. This is from January 2023 to January 2024. The benchmark price of an apartment in Surrey was $506,000 in January 2023 and is almost $540,000 in January of 2024. Okay, so I know I'm throwing a lot of math at you here, but let's start to tie this all together and put it into perspective a little bit. According to these articles and websites, the rent is up 13.1% in only the last 2 years. The reason you maybe want to pay attention to this if you're a renter watching this video is simple. There is rent controls in British Columbia, meaning your landlord cannot raise the rent on you other than what is prescribed and allowable by the BC government. Mortgage rates, however, are not something that is controlled by the BC government. So in 2022, 2023 as an example, landlords saw massive increases to their mortgage payments while they were only allowed to do minimal increases to the tenancy amounts. This of course removes profits from the landlord's pockets, and what would you do with an investment as soon as it stops becoming profitable? You would likely sell it, I would assume. This means as investment properties, i.e. tenant occupied properties, started to become not profitable for these landlords, they started putting them onto the market. Now, while the tenancy runs with the property, meaning anybody can buy it and the tenancy will continue, any tenants that were on a month-to-month tenancy likely found themselves on the other end of a home buyer wanting to occupy that property, meaning those tenants now had to move. Those tenants that may have been enjoying below market rates at the time are now going to be forced into the new rental pool at the new rental rates and be paying these increases well above what they likely originally agreed to in their current tenancy. The prices just went up for them, and by a lot. So this 13.1% increase, that's an additional $343 per month in only 2 years. That could be a $343 payment rent shock to a tenant who finds himself in a new rental after only 2 years. As long as we're still doing some math, that's over $8,200 in 1 year in additional rent payments that tenant will be paying on a new property now. As we said previously, condos in the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board are up 6.5% in only 1 year. The number that is very important in this case is that 6.5% amounts to $33,100 of an increase in 1 year only. This means for any tenant that decided not to buy yet had the ability to buy, is now going to pay $33,000 more for a property today, an entry-level condominium, than they would have in doing so just 1 year ago. So not only have they cost themselves an additional $8,200 if they've been removed from their current tenancy from only 2 years ago, but if they do choose to buy now, they're going to pay an additional $31,000. Folks, this is the true cost of waiting to buy a home. Real estate prices, well, they're not always guaranteed to go up, but year after year after year after year, they have proven time and time again that they will go up, even in a challenging market. There's highs and there's lows during the course of a calendar year, but increased prices are a real thing that have happened time and time again, and they're definitely something you need to pay attention to. Furthermore, if you're watching this and you are a renter or a tenant somewhere, you likely don't want to be a renter or a tenant for the rest of your life. Fair? Not only would you have saved an incredible amount of money by buying just 1 year ago, but if you had have signed a 25-year mortgage, you now would only have 24 years left on it as of today. Let's take your game plan of either renting versus buying and fast forward that by another 24 years. What might the rent increases look like between now and 24 years from now? How old might you be 24 years from now? And are you happy to still be a renter 24 years from now? And whatever you decide is okay. That's not the point. But I want you to think about what the price of what you could buy today might be 24 years from now. And I also want you to consider that 24 years from now, pending you don't move and buy another property somewhere else, you will no longer have a mortgage to pay at all. You will have paid it off. This means no more mortgage, no more payments month to month. And every dollar you make, whether it is now in retirement or if you're still working at that time, goes in your pocket, except for like taxes and stuff. You know how all that works. That is the true cost of waiting to buy. And now you have the information you need to make a great decision if you're someone that is currently renting a home but has the ability to purchase today. I'm curious what you think. If you're a tenant somewhere in the Lower Mainland, let me know about the numbers that I just shared with you and if that was just absolutely mind-blowing and also maybe a little concerning. Or maybe you're someone that lives in the area and has bought maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years ago. Let the people watching this video who might be renters or tenants know what has happened with the value of your home and whether you're happy or not that you jumped into the real estate pool when you did. The last thought I'm going to leave you with is this. Sometimes when we buy our first homes, it's not the forever home. It's not the dream home. It's not the one that we've just yearned for forever and ever and ever. But I want to let you know that that's okay. When you buy a home, whether it's your first, second, third, or fourth, what happens is you now get to participate in the real estate market. This means you have something where you are going to build equity on over time, whether you do it through paying your mortgage or the growth of the price of the property just increases over time. You now have an asset that you can trade to buy the next one, which may be bigger, more expensive, or just simply nicer. Without having that asset and without having that growth, you're always going to be starting at ground zero. So for any of you tenants out there that are watching this video, stop paying your landlord's mortgage and start considering paying your own. Hey, look, I want to thank you for watching today's video. Thank you for commenting. And if you got value from this video, please consider subscribing to our channel so you get updates on everything to do with real estate in the area. I'm Darren from the German Group, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you on the next one. Cheers.